Hello and welcome back to SnowRunner, y'all. And this time, I figured it had been a little too long since we had done any proper recoveries. Now, today we are going to be recovering just a stock little 1500 out here on the second map in the North Carolina region, or at least the upcoming North Carolina region. Now, I've seen a couple of comments lately asking, why can't I buy this DLC? And the answer to that is honestly pretty simple. It's not available, or at least not yet, because this is being played as a work in progress build on the public test server. So it will be out at some point soon. And of course, when I have a little bit more detail on the specifics of that, I will share them here on the channel with y'all. However, before we get into any of that, I did decide to take just a little bit of the long way around today because I wanted to explore a little bit more of this map that I hadn't seen yet. And if you've already seen my recent camping video, well, camping/exploration video with the Ram 3500 with the slide-in camper in the bed, that video was actually recorded after this video was. So at this point in gameplay, I had actually seen less of this map than I had in that video. So if you get a look at the map and you're like, wait a second, this is different from like video to video, but like backwards different, not, different in the way you would expect, that's why. So as we drive around some of these farm fields, I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to kind of do. And at the end of the day, I was like, I want to do some kind of recovery, right? That's why I built this. I mean, at the end of the day, I would not have built this if I didn't have recoveries in mind. Now, I will say what's nice about a lot of these farm field areas is that they're not necessarily a area that is identical to any of the other areas in the game, especially some of the ones that have featured other farm fields, because a lot of the other areas in the game that have featured farm fields kind of feel a little cut and paste, whereas these feel a lot more, in my opinion, they feel a lot more realistic and varied in terms of terrain and just kind of organic in the way that they suit the landscape. Now, when I say organic, I guess the way that I mean that is it feels like a lot of these farm fields intertwine themselves into the landscape in a way that's cohesive and in a way that makes sense. And really what I'm trying to say at the end of the day is they look a lot better than the first time the developers tried to put farm fields in a map, because the first time, or rather early on when the developers were putting farm fields in a lot of these maps, it felt a little bit, I don't know, a little bit off, a little bit like odd, a little bit like, was this farm field actually like intended to be here? Or was it one of those design decisions that came a little bit later on where they're like, oh, y'all see that farm field over there? Stick some crops in it. Might look a little bit better than grass. Or at least that's what it feels like some of these kind of started out life as and then progressed into over time. Now, as we find the task at hand, I do want to say that these new towns look absolutely amazing and I really love driving around them, even though, and I will go ahead and admit right now, even though, yes, there are a lot of recycled buildings and assets and cars and driveways and things like that. But I think a lot of the new add-ons and elements that they have added just visually to the game with the new textures, the new just little bushes and trees and visual cues, a lot of that stuff looks very fresh. And I think it gives the game a much more fresh feel than the last DLC did. And at this point, it's time to go ahead and actually pick up the task. The one I've been kind of on and off talking about for the last 4 minutes that I said I was going to start, and then we eventually just now started. So don't worry about that. We're only just a little bit into the beginning of this adventure, which, to be honest, it's not one of those adventures where the truck rolls over and then we get stuck and then something explodes and then we have to come rescue the other truck that we were using for the original rescue. And so we have to get another rescue truck for the original rescue truck so then we can rescue the truck we were originally supposed to rescue. Yeah, it's not that kind of adventure. However, what it is it's an adventure that kind of allowed me to sit back, relax, and just enjoy this new environment while honestly really enjoying the task at hand. And I've I've discovered through playing through a lot of the missions in this North Carolina DLC that while a lot of the contracts are a little bit bigger and they're definitely going to give you more of that more intense type of gameplay, the tasks, though, as opposed to the contracts, are they're a lot more chilled out, they're a lot more relaxing, and they're a lot more like you could just pop one on and sit back and relax and just do it. And I think with that, they know that a lot of people are going to use modded vehicles like this one, for example, that has a functioning rollback. However, this rollback does not actually come with this truck mod. And of course, everything will be linked down in the description below. And before someone says, well, they have don't you know that they have rollbacks in the stock game? Yes, I am well aware of the fact that they have rollbacks in the stock game. You don't need any mods at all to actually have functional rollbacks. However, it actually really pays off to get a couple of different rollback mods, because what they do give you is they give you more choice. So let's say one of the vanilla rollbacks looked a little bit better or fit a little bit better on a particular chassis. Well, you could go with that. However, there are some other trucks that don't really work as well with the stock add-ons, or rather they don't look as good, or there's odd gaps here and there, and just things that might not be the most pleasing for your build. And that's why I like to download a couple of extra add-on packs here and there so that I can add these other rollbacks when I'm looking for something that I really want to have tailored to a particular truck, like for example this GMC. Although this GMC is also modified, it's obviously like a tweaked version of a standard truck, but it essentially just has more options, more engine options, more gearbox options, more suspension options, more optimizations, and obviously more wheels and tires as well. So now that we've found the 1500 that we need to recover, we're just going to go ahead and get this thing in position and scoop it right up. Essentially, honestly, this was a very easy recovery. And that's why I said what I said earlier when I was kind of approaching it from the standpoint that a lot of the tasks that I have found so far on this map, especially the recovery ones, are very much tasks that you could just grab a truck that you like to drive, chill out, relax, and just enjoy yourself. And I think that that's what the tasks like this are truly meant for, is so that you as a player have a really good time. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people, I've seen them have to take a break from a couple of hours for SnowRunner because it got too frustrating or too over the top, or they rolled so many of their trucks that it just wasn't fun anymore. And if you're dealing with a scenario like that, these tasks are honestly so good for just kind of resetting, chilling out, relaxing. And if you're in kind of a space where everything feels like the game is just throwing a bunch of difficult crap at you all the time, these new tasks are honestly just such a great breath of fresh air from that. And also, as we get a little further on, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments as to if you saw any new elements or design choices on the map in this video that you may have not realized were new for the upcoming North Carolina DLC, because there are a lot of new design elements. If you look closely, there are a lot of new design cues, and some of the map creators, like modded map creators that I see in my comments from time to time, have also said that they have found a lot of really cool little details, which are of course not only really cool to see in the standard maps, but they are also going to be really cool when mod creators start getting their hands on them and start intertwining them into different mod maps. Now, as we make our way back, obviously this is a very short haul, so I'm going to go ahead and let y'all enjoy the rest of it, and let me know any and all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Make sure you stay tuned for more of the new, or rather upcoming, North Carolina DLC for SnowRunner very, very soon.